Hello and welcome. We are broadcasting to you from Brno and
Prague.
Prague. Yes, hello, Jen, and
Hi.
welcome to another interview with our club members. I'm so happy to be here with you tonight, and I can't wait to talk to you about your freelancing experience and English language teaching experience, about your method that you came up with. Yeah, how I created
Yes.
my own
Thank you.
ELT method. Yeah, and
Yeah,
some of the ladies from the club, some of the members have asked, yeah, if you could talk about it,
that's
and
right.
it's been on my mind to ask you. So here we are. All you ladies need to do is ask, and if I'm able to do it, I go for it. On my name day, today is my name day, and you are my present, Jen. And
That's very
ladies.
sweet.
And I am so generous, and I will share my present with the club ladies. So, good evening once again, or if anyone's watching the recorded version, good morning, good afternoon, whenever, wherever you're listening. We are going to talk about ELT freelancing and teaching, and we're going to go really deep today into autonomous learning. That's my thing, and
Yes.
that's how we clicked, that's how we connected. I still remember that lunch at the conference in March when you started telling me about your method. And here you are, being the star, presenting about it in our Teachers Club. So,
Thank you.
Jen, how are you today? Before other people get on the call, how are you today?
Doing great. Doing great. Thank you. How about
How have
you?
how have you been? I'm very chilled today, actually. I
Nice.
didn't have any lessons. Everybody canceled today. So I was just focusing on the evening, and the rest of the day I was doing admin and some preparation for my presentation that I'm doing in the near future. So very chilled, getting ready for this.
Perfect.
How about you? How did you spend your day?
I taught, I believe, 3 lessons today,
Okay, all right.
and then took a walk in the afternoon. Started to rain on me, but that's all right. There's a lovely walking path close to my flat, so I'm really lucky. If you know Vitkov Hill in, it's between Karlin and, Žižkov, so that's where I go for my walk every day.
Okay, okay. But Jen, we are both in the Czech Republic. You're not Czech, are you?
I am not. I am Canadian.
Canadian. Where from?
Yeah.
Where from in Canada are you?
Okay, I'm from a little town south of Calgary in the middle of the prairie,
A,
so no
a
trees,
prairie girl. A
just
prairie.
grass. Yeah.
Life must be very different in Prague for you compared to the prairie.
Yes, it is, but I love it. I love it. I love how Czech people adore the nature and take big trips into forests and valleys and rocks. I love it.
So you like the hiking culture here? Hmm.
Walking culture?
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Walking and hiking. We're big too, aren't we? Maybe not in Prague, but in the mountains.
I suppose so. It's just I'm getting older and my knees don't work so well.
Okay, okay. All right. What else is different? Oh,
Hmm.
cheers.
Oh,
Cheers. I
thank
think
you. Yeah.
that's fine. Cheers.
Enjoying a glass of wine. What else is different? Um, so a lot of people ask me, why did I leave Canada,
Yeah. Yeah.
Utopia, to come to this small country in the middle of Europe? And I really did it in the beginning to have a gap year, figure out my life. My job in Canada ended and I was looking for something new. And so I'm like, I'll teach English. Why not? See how it is. I came to Prague and immediately fell in love with the quality of life. here, the European lifestyle. It is different than
Mm.
American lifestyle.
Okay, and how is it different?
The fact that you just kind of hang out with your friends a little more often, there's a bit more of a pub culture. The balance, work-life balance, seems to be better.
So, how long have you been living here?
In 2 weeks, it will have been 8 years. 8 years! Oh my god.
8 years in the Czech
Yes,
Republic, and you were partly in Brno, and now you are in Prague, right?
that's right. Yep.
And have you lived anywhere else outside of Prague or Brno?
No, that's it.
Do you like the big cities? Yeah?
I do. It's better for the friendships, community, even finding work.
Yeah, for socializing. Although
Yes.
during COVID, it wasn't so easy, yeah?
Couldn't do that anyways, yes.
8 years in the Czech Republic, you love the cities. You have many friends here now, yeah? You
Yes,
now
I
also
do.
joined our club, so you
Yes.
have many more friends in the ELT industry. So you don't feel alone, like maybe in COVID times, like we all felt a bit
They were
lonely.
tough times, but in fact, my little group of friends, came together even more strongly
Oh,
because we made a firm commitment to see each other on the weekends for walks. So just imagine like winter time, slushy, snowy weather, and all of us, just 8 of us, meeting and walking, hiking, like whatever we could do,
yeah.
drinking beer outside, just however we could spend time together. And now that group of friends is still just going so strong. I'm really grateful.
And to stay sane, yes. Yeah,
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
great. It's so important, yeah, when you relocate to
It
another country,
really is.
don't have family there or any
Mhm.
group of friends. So this is the most important thing. So Jen, you have been an ELT freelancer for how long? Since you came to the Czech Republic, or what's your story with teaching English? Can you share with us?
Yeah, so I never taught English before, though I did teach uh, on a Native American residential school back in long time ago, but just I taught as a substitute teacher, and that was my first taste of teaching. But I
Mhm.
love English so much, I thought, hey, this will be a great thing to do while I figure out my life.
Okay.
So I came and yeah, 8 years ago, I took my teaching English as a foreign language, my TEFL certification in Prague, and I was immediately hired by a language school.
Okay. And since then, anything changed? Are you still working for that school?
I am not. I left the school about 2 years ago because I realized I could not make a steady living wage with them. The price of what they paid me was not enough to live on, so I
Don't you
left.
say? Don't you
What?
say?
Yeah, it was terrible actually, and, I was quite loyal to the school. I was even a senior teacher. I was a mentor, trainer, and coach for up to 50 new teachers at a time, and,
Wow.
it was just too much. So I went completely freelance just before meeting you actually,
Yep,
and,
yep.
it's been smooth sailing ever since.
And we met in March, yeah, so half a year ago, or a little
Mhm.
more than half a year ago. And then you joined our club, and I remember that you did a lot of work on your business. I won't be so specific here. And then you joined the conference, the Language Teachers Festival, and you've
Yes.
been with us ever since.
Mhm.
So I hope it's helped you, or I hope so.
Immensely, of course. Actually, I would say that maybe the whole reason I moved to Brno was to meet you.
And then you went back.
And then I came back to Prague, you know?
Just to meet me at that one conference, you could have just
Yes.
taken a train, not move, because you lived here at the time. I know. I know.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so you moved for love, but you ended up taking something else out of it.
Yes, that's right.
So you feel much better in your business at the moment, right?
I do. I feel like I'm growing, I'm learning, and I'm trying to strike that balance between um, life, doing my hobbies. Uh, I'm a multi-potentialite. I get really interested in many things over the period of time. So it's balancing that as well as my teaching career. It's really fulfilling.
Okay, sounds great.
Yeah.
So, Jen, who do you teach at the moment and how much, if you can share a little bit from your back office?
So I teach 22
Mhm.
60-minute lessons a week.
Okay.
Uh, Lots of individuals, but lots of groups. So I would say I have upwards of 40 to 45 students, active students right now.
Wow, that's a
Mhm.
lot. Yeah, that's a lot. Mhm.
It's enough, but the group lessons are, they're really enjoyable too. Like, I have a really nice mix of individual and group lessons. I
Nice.
teach primarily for 2 companies. I have contracts with 2 companies, and I teach for their employees, and then the
Ah,
rest are private, people who pay me out of their own pockets.
okay, okay.
Mhm.
All right, all right. And what do you focus on? Do you focus on general English, conversation, business English? How do you go about it?
It is only general English, conversational, but it's, as we're going to get into, it's
Yes,
just
yes.
organic. It's so organic. It's building, these layers upon layers, and not trying to pile too much on at once.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
I believe a lot of the members of our club are going to resonate with this a lot because we are into language coaching here. I don't want to say
Mhm.
all of us, but many of us are into language coaching, learner autonomy, and conversation driven
Mhm.
lessons. So I'm very curious to learn more about how you teach and what your method is. So would you
Okay.
like to maybe start telling us how you created it, why you came up with it? What
Mhm.
happened?
Certainly. When I was a senior teacher and I was observing lessons, I'll give a short story of a time
Okay.
I was observing a lesson during the COVID years. And so my camera was off and I was observing a lesson. And I had a bottle of rum next to my desk. And I resorted to drinking, I think, 2 shots of rum during the lesson because it was so horrible. I couldn't manage otherwise to observe. And just
I
it
love it.
just there are some things that we can do as teachers, giving a student space to say what is on their mind, trusting that they can say something. So after so many years and terrible observations and feedback sessions where teachers weren't exactly keen to change how they taught, I decided to really put all of my experience and thoughts together into a method, which I eventually named the plant method.
The plant method. Okay.
Mhm.
So, what is the plant method and how is it different from what you saw in those lessons? What was so horrible about those lessons that it inspired you to create your plant method?
So the first horrible thing is the amount of teacher talking time.
Hmm.
So when a teacher is just explaining and explaining and explaining, and then going through a worksheet, for example, and then more explaining, and basically that, right? Where the I've seen lessons where teachers will have 7 different activities and just blow through every activity, and the students have no space to say anything.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I
It's not
really wanted.
it's not
Yep, please.
personalized at all.
No, no. And sometimes even the activities weren't even connected to each other. It's like, "And now let's do this." Really?
No
Okay.
segue.
Yes. Yeah,
We've all
exactly.
done it. We've all done it. We're all guilty of it at the beginning, right? We've all done it.
True. And then on the other side of the spectrum, we have the teachers who have complete conversation lessons where there's no error correction, no feedback, no target language, like it's just let's have a coffee and get paid for it. And I was frustrated with
That's
that
another
too.
extreme. Yes. Yes.
Yes, yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm like, there has to be a happy middle. And so I think I've created the happy middle.
For yourself. So, and your students. So,
Yes.
would you share the happy middle with us today?
Definitely. So
Yay.
the plant method, what it stands for is personalized lessons through acceptance, nurturing, and trust.
Okay.
So
Personalized
immediately,
lessons through
uh
acceptance, nurturing, and trust. Got it. Mhm.
yes, and then even just the whole acronym, like metaphor about plants needing
Yes.
space and water and time. It really fit the whole organic style I wanted to focus on.
Maybe I could share your website if
Please
you don't
do.
mind.
Yep.
And you have a plant there, don't you?
I have a
Right?
plant there.
I
Um,
think so. No?
oh, just nice, graphics that someone made for me.
Oh, I thought there was a plant. Yeah, but there are a lot of plants. So yeah, let me show
Yes.
you, ladies,
Yes,
because
please.
it's pretty. Yeah, let's see this. Yeah.
Mhm.
So there's some fruits and leaves, but
Mhm.
here's more plants here. Beautiful. More plants. Okay. Nice. Love it. Okay.
Yeah, so that's www.theplantmethod.com. Pretty
Yeah.
easy to find.
Mhm.
Mhm. And, yeah, uh, let's focus briefly on each of the aspects of plant because that really speaks
Yeah.
to what it does.
Mhm.
So, personalized lessons is really about the students taking autonomy for their learning, really taking autonomy. And I see you nodding. Like, how does this resonate with you as a teacher, trainer, and coach?
Of course, that's why I got rid of course books in the first place. I was so tired of people not taking responsibility and not being autonomous. And I switched it around, and ever since then, I've had much better results. Yeah,
Hmm. Exactly. And so, of course, sometimes the students have to be guided towards this. It's
of
almost like a
course.
revolution for many people who have education based trauma.
Yes.
And in fact, I've really uncovered trauma from education.
Here in the Czech Republic, it's very strong.
Definitely. Yeah.
Is it
So,
bigger than in Canada? What do you think?
in some ways, yes. In a little bit, yes. It's still a little bit stronger here.
Why do you think that is?
Perhaps just the education system itself, or even just the history of socialism and communism. And
So,
I'm not
do
sure if
your
it's.
students share with you what they've experienced in school? Do they
Hmm.
tell you the horrible things they've been told by their teachers?
Yes,
It's heartbreaking sometimes, isn't
it
it?
is. It
Yeah.
really is. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, we work with that as well.
Yes,
Yeah,
we work with that.
counseling time.
Yes. Yeah. And also, so this moves easily and perfectly into acceptance. What I love about acceptance is Say you come to a lesson and you're not prepared, and as a student, I mean, so you're not prepared and you just show up and you haven't got your homework done or anything like that. The teacher just accepts all of it. All
Yeah.
of it. Yeah. So the learner is really welcomed into the space exactly as they are, no matter their state of mind, their preparation, and also the lesson unfolds quite naturally. If the students end up talking about something else than you planned, then that's fine. That is also just accepted as long as you're providing feedback, error correction, taking notes, and blah blah. Yeah.
Hmm.
So
And
the biggest,
what about
yeah,
the students? Do they actually bring homework?
they
If you
do.
accept, you always accept that they don't bring homework. How does that work?
They actually really do bring homework. Um, if I'll just kind of plant this aside for a moment because we'll get into homework in just a little bit. Is that okay, Nina?
Yes, sure,
Okay.
sure,
Okay.
absolutely.
So maybe the last thing I'll say about acceptance is just, when we meet people where they're at, like human beings and not just learners, and we're not trying to change them, this really opens up a space for true transformation and growth.
Mhm,
And so in that space is where we find all of the growth and transformation for the students.
mhm,
Okay. Next, we have nurturing, of course. So plants just need space and light and water. So I encourage teachers to be a gardener for their learners. Provide the space in the lessons, and that really means be quiet.
mhm.
Silence is your friend. Every time you want to say something, don't.
Never?
Base Not never, right? But we are so used to just filling in the silence or being so concerned about what to say next that we don't focus on what they're saying now.
Being in the present moment with
Yeah,
them.
that's
It's
really
like,
it.
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So space is usually silence, and it's also the comforting atmosphere, this warm, familiar, comforting atmosphere that you create for the learners.
Mhm.
Um, so don't overwater them with grammar. In my opinion, less is more when it comes to grammar.
Okay.
And you can, or you should, grade your own language down to Stephen Krashen's +1,
What is
which,
that?
aha, I love this hypothesis. Stephen Krashen's work is amazing. So, whatever level your learner is at, call that like 0. You, as the teacher, add simply 1. That means adding just, if you think of comfort zone like this, you add just outside the comfort zone of their vocabulary. But that means as a teacher, you have to know your CEFR, Common European Framework, pretty
That
well.
can be quite difficult for many native speakers.
It is. It
How
is
do you
difficult.
learn? How do you level it down? For you, it must be hard, no?
It's easy now, but it took time to learn.
Is there a technique?
Basically, just simplify.
Mhm.
Or again, it's holding yourself back. As teachers, we really just have to hold ourselves back, hold our egos in check. We don't have to prove that we're amazing. We already know we're amazing. So just, um, don't share every idiom, don't share every phrasal verb, don't introduce, you know, keep it to 5 to 7 new words a lesson and leave it at that. So
So, what does a lesson look like in your course?
my lessons have a pretty easygoing structure.
Mhm.
It starts with a warm-up question,
Mhm.
and every course gets the same warm-up question. So easy, everyone gets it. Now they know they can do it or not. If they don't like it, they don't have to do it.
What's
After
the
the
warm-up question?
Oh, it changes every week, but this week we're talking about driving, how and when
Okay.
we learned how to drive, if we like driving in foreign cities, if we've ever been kart racing, if we like motorcycles. That's the warm-up question this week.
So you introduce it at the beginning. You say, "Hi, today we're going to talk about
Mm,
driving." Okay, how
in
does it work?
Okay, we actually start with small talk. We fill each other in with what's been going on, but my students have access to my notes file, and they will see my plan for the day. And they have been thoroughly trained, sorry, by now, to always have their notes file open when they start the lesson. So they can see what the warm up question is going to be. It's right there in their notes. So,
Mhm.
in
Mhm.
fact, they have the whole lesson plan as far as it is. It's 4 points. It's a warm up. It's my bite of something, a grammar bite, a vocabulary bite, a listening bite, or a game, a review, and well, 3 things. That's it. That's my lesson. That's 60 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you take notes?
I type with all 10 fingers. I am pretty quick on the keyboard. Very useful skill. So I split my screen. I have the
Uh-huh.
video on one half of the screen and I have my notes on the other. And as they're speaking, I take notes.
Okay.
Yeah. So
And how do you take your notes, if I may ask, in this organic way of teaching? How do you go about it?
if they've made a mistake and I don't want to interrupt them for immediate correction, I will make a note of it in the notes and we'll go back to it later. If someone in the group uses a great piece of vocab that I think the other people don't know, I'll put that in the notes as well.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
I will also write down my words that I think are that plus one for them.
Mhm. Mhm.
I model perfect English in my notes. Even if it's above their level, I will always put full sentences and complete English, like third conditional. If it's actually a third conditional and an A1 student wouldn't know it, I would still write it down and say, hey, this is third conditional. You'll learn that later.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. Mhm. All right. So, how do you go about the course structure? How long do people want to work with you? How do you start? How do you finish? Do you ever finish? You know, English teachers are well known for these never-ending collaborations. How do you go about that part of business?
So I have had some students. My longest one is 6 years. I've had this pair for 6 years.
Pair.
Yeah, yeah, two people that
It's like their hobby.
yes. They used to be a company course, and then they hired me when they stopped cooperating with the school. And 5 years for a ton of other people. So, yes, I'm really into long term cooperation. What's interesting is I don't have course plans and I don't do any course structure at all.
Mhm.
I just follow their interests, and sometimes they follow mine
Mhm.
as well. So it is in some ways a reciprocal relationship, what helps it become a really authentic and heartfelt connection, because they get a peek into my life and I get a peek into theirs, and we kind of build the English language instruction together.
Yeah, that's what happens to us in ELT, right? Do you
That's
ever become
right.
friends with your students?
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And if I hang out with them outside of the classroom, one of the first things I say to them is, "I am not correcting your mistakes today. I will
Because you're not working. You will
I'm
in
not
your
working."
head, like we all do, but not on
Mhm.
paper or
Nope,
not
and
spoken.
not I won't say it. They'll be like, "No, please," and I'm like, "No, I'm not working. We're just hanging out." But I will, of course, grade my language because that's just nice to do.
Okay, so it's like very free flowing. There's no beginning and end.
That's right.
Whenever you decide to stop, how do you decide when you want to stop working with someone or they want to stop working with you?
So it does happen, of course. They will say that they, are just finished for whatever reason. Maybe they can't afford my new price increase. That happens sometimes. Or they're just taking a break from English, but that's again, accept it. Just accept it for what it is. You don't have to read too much into it. And just I rarely have let some students go, but I've also done it. I've recently moved to the prepaid 5 lessons at a time model, and it's fantastic for this because at the end of every 5, which also means you get staggered income throughout the month, which is really useful too. At the end of every 5, you just kind of check in, get some feedback. How are you feeling? Are we meeting your needs? What can we change? And then they order another 5 or they don't.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that really works well.
Mm-hmm.
I think actually this is a good time to go back to the homework question because
Let's do it.
we were talking about, how to keep the course progressing.
Mm-hmm.
And what we do is preemptive homework.
Mm-hmm. What is that?
Game changer. Nina, it's such a game changer. So let's say you've just finished a fantastic lesson with a small group of people, and then you'll say, okay, now we're wrapping up. Whose turn is it for the topic next week? And we literally take turns, and whose ever turn it is, they have to find an article or a video on the internet, authentic materials, right? Share it with us. And that is the focus of the majority of our conversation in the next lesson.
Oh, okay. So that's how the group courses go.
Even individual,
And then the individual always has to find something, or
we
you.
we take turns
You
then.
take turns. Okay.
Yes, yeah, yeah. I jump in and I take my turn as well. And this just revolutionized group courses for me. Individual, not so much because they sometimes do homework and they sometimes don't, and whatever, right? You just accept it. But for groups, they really feel like when they accept it, they're going to do it.
Responsibility for the rest
Yes,
of the group. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
yes. And it
Mm-hmm.
also like really builds that I am taking control or I am in control of my English.
Yep.
I am doing this. I'm finding materials that I like.
And they co-create the course.
They co-create the course.
Nice, I love it.
Yeah,
So, do they show you before the lesson so that you have a chance to look at it, or
they should. And yes, they and
ideally?
ideally, if the video is under 5 minutes, we'll do it in the lesson. But over 5, we have to see it beforehand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All
And
right.
through this, I get introduced to the most interesting and outlandish sometimes ideas and interests and topics that my students have. It's really brilliant.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, what would you recommend other teachers to start doing to be more organic in their lessons? What would your best tips be for other teachers?
First is only awareness.
Mm-hmm.
So I would encourage anyone who's watching this live stream to simply be aware of their role in their lessons, maybe for a whole week. Don't change anything. Just kind of have an observer watching your lessons. And what the observer is going to look for is and I mean you, not some external observer, your inner observer, how much do you speak in the lessons? How much do you guide the lessons? And how much grammar, target language, and error correction do you do?
Mhm.
And once you have like a week's worth of data, as you can think about
Did
it,
you, like, journal afterwards?
maybe that's probably a good idea. So it's still really fresh. But at the very least, just really be aware and then start making small changes. And the first change is to be quiet. One, one of the workshops I taught many times for the language school was about reducing teacher talking time. And really the advice is just be quiet. Shut up. Just be quiet. Don't say anything.
Yeah.
And with that space, which is often quite uncomfortable for students, they will fill it. You don't have to. They will fill it somehow. So
Yeah.
that's tip number 1. Tip
Okay.
number 2 is to really start taking more notes than you probably are used to taking. My notes become the student's textbook, and they can go back. They have full edit and administrative access to their portion of the notes, and they know I am going to review terms and grammar every lesson. So most of them review the notes before coming to class.
Mhm.
And the better notes you take, the more valuable a resource this is for them. So we've got be quiet, give them some more space in the lessons, take lots of notes. Um, Using pictures.
Mhm.
So I've mentioned a few times this review that I do. We do review twice in my lessons. We do a review right after the warm up question has wrapped up. And so we will open up my review part of the notes and they'll see a series of pictures. And
Mhm.
they have to kind of determine how a picture relates to vocabulary specifically from the last lesson.
So before the lesson, you look for the pictures that symbolize the phrases or the words.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Nice.
So this is part of the prep that I do for every lesson. My lesson prep is between 5 to 15 minutes per lesson because it's
So
just
you must be using some AI, maybe?
sometimes I do, but
Because that
finding
would
these
take a lot of time to find everything yourself, yeah?
not so much. Like when I'm finding these pictures for review, I just use Google Images. I
Okay.
put in like cut someone some slack and
Mhm.
look for images on Google, and right there I can usually find a picture within seconds.
Mhm. Okay.
Uh-huh. Um, so as you can imagine, like when we use pictures, it carves different pathways in the brain. Yeah, you're nodding. You know this. Of course you do. So what they do is they get the picture, they have to make a phrase that applies to their own life. And so what we're doing is we're making these pathways in the forest of vocabulary. So imagine these words being in the forest. We're just carving different trails to these words through the forest each time we review them with pictures.
Do they like this analogy with the nature and plants and forests? Yeah? Usually
They do.
attracts people like you, yeah?
It does, because I do take time, maybe once every quarter, but only sometimes, to do like some meta level stuff with my students as well, talking
What do you
about
mean by
learning.
that? Okay, yeah, metacognition, all right.
Yes, yeah. So how do we learn? How do we want to learn? How do we evaluate our own learning? We do that not so often, but once every 4 months or so.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
What about children?
I've
How
never
about
tried it with kids. I have no idea.
I think they would be the best material to try with. because I've tried everything I do without course books on kids, and they are the
Uh-huh.
best client for this because they they thrive on no course book approach, on this
Mhm.
authentic approach, on this yeah this autonomous. They want to be autonomous most of the time, yeah, when they get
Mhm.
used to it. Right. Okay, what else should we know about your method? Have I missed any questions, any topics?
So, let's talk about the difference between groups and individuals.
Okay, yes, yeah, yeah, sure.
Yeah. So, I know that some people really struggle with teaching pairs. We've had some conversation in the club
Yes,
lately about teaching
yes,
pairs.
yes, yes.
Yeah. And in fact, this method works so, so well with pairs.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine, so I've brought just a warm up question, and we have the review as usual. And these pairs, they know each other, they've had lessons together, but they've never had a chance to talk about these types of things with each other. So sometimes all I have to do is show up, put up the question, and sit back and error correct, you know?
The best. Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, I also teach a group where there's a little bit of healthy slash unhealthy competition between the guys. They're all guys. And
Ah, there you go.
and I sometimes have to mediate a little bit, but I find that they also hold each other accountable. So, what I love about this method is once the students learn it themselves, they know what your expectations are. They come to the lesson and they just fill that bucket of expectations. They just over it just overflows for them. And yeah, they guide their own topics. For example, whoever has the homework, the topic for that day, they actually guide the discussion in the lesson. I don't.
Mhm.
I hand it over to them. And in that way, they learn these really important skills of like how to guide conversation,
Yes.
include other people who aren't speaking. And I jump in when needed.
And
But
it's so useful for teamwork in English if they need to use it at work. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Awesome.
And they also learn, and I can't like overstate this enough, the importance of valuing and listening to each other's opinions.
What do people in groups struggle with the most when you teach? You have 8 years of experience in the Czech Republic now. What do they struggle with the most?
Um, so we have grammar struggles, and that's one thing, like just
Yes.
fossilized mistakes that take ages to get rid of, such
Hmm.
as the be or get used to plus gerund. That's
Okay. Yes.
pretty
Yes.
tough for people. Yeah. Uh, and then, sorry, the question was where do they struggle?
Yeah. Yeah. Where do they struggle the most? Yeah.
Uh huh.
With what do you see your students struggle with the most when you teach in this way? Maybe they are sometimes not so relaxed at first because they're used to much more structured and yeah, led lesson.
It's true. So when I start a cooperation with a student, we talk about this. We talk about the method right at the beginning of the cooperation. I would say in groups they also struggle to have everyone involved somewhat equally, especially when there are shy or introverted people in the
Hmm.
group.
Hmm.
Me as a teacher, I don't force anyone to participate when they don't want to. And I think that's somewhat against what I was taught in TEFL. They even told me, like, get everyone involved in the conversation or discussion. But I think if you're not going to say anything, I'm not going to force you.
Okay. How do people find you actually, who are interested in this method? Do you blog about it, or how do they find out about it? From friends, word of mouth?
In fact, all of my students are word of mouth right now, and it keeps my schedule as full as I want it to be.
Mm-hmm. Well
Mhm.
done. And it
Thank
means
you.
that your clients are very satisfied and they constantly recommend you. Yeah?
Yes, yes, exactly. And as
Okay.
soon as one goes, I have space for someone else. And what I also love and want to offer, of course, to the ladies in the club is I offer English lessons for teachers.
That's right. I remember that. Tell us more about it, please.
So, as teachers who are constantly surrounded by low level English, low level mistakes, I make mistakes too. I was standing there and I said, "Someone teached me something," and I'm like, "Jen, oh my god." So, it's really important for us as English teachers to keep our own language as fresh, free of mistakes as possible. So, I offer small group English courses for teachers.
Amazing.
Um, right now, I do teach two other teachers who actually took my plant method teaching course last year,
Uh-huh.
and they just rave about it. They say it's the best investment they've ever made for their own teaching because they didn't even know that some of the mistakes they were making were in fact mistakes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We are not native speakers. Yeah, so we don't know everything. So you have training courses for your method.
I
Can you
do.
tell us more about it if the teachers from our club are interested?
I certainly hope they are. I love sharing my method with other people through my training course. It is 6 modules and they are completely they're live. You come like this to a live session, but it is also for self-study. So it's interactive through the chat with whoever is there, but you also have the materials. You don't have to attend the courses live. You can study on your own and finish the course, the modules then. It's 1 hour per session plus 15 minutes of Q&A at the end. And what we'll do is go through autonomy and education based trauma in the beginning, the foundational skills that we have as teachers and learners,
Mm-hmm.
the secret sauce, what plant does differently than other courses, then specific tools and techniques, roles, games, pronunciation, all of that stuff, and then how to adapt this to individuals, pairs, groups, and so on. And then we wrap it up talking about feedback, evaluation and assessment, and adding your own flair. So, plant method isn't about making you teach a certain way. It's about letting you shine as your own individual style, flair person. That you are you, and it just helps you be you.
That's exactly my approach to helping other teachers, yeah, become better. You have to be you, and I can only
Yes.
coach you, and I can only show you, but you have to do the job, yeah? And you
Yes,
you have to show up, not me. Exactly.
exactly.
I love it. Love it, Jen.
Yeah.
So when is the next one if people want to join something?
So the next one starts on November 6th, actually.
Oh, so soon.
Yep.
Okay.
November 6th. And then the one after that will be in February.
Okay.
So this is like a great pre Christmas thing, but if you can't make it work, then February. So November 6th to December 7th. And I have a special promotion for ladies in the club. The regular fee for the 6 sessions is 4,500 crowns, which is
Very
approximately 180 euros. But bring a friend and you both get it for 6,000.
Okay, very nice.
Mhm.
Very nice, very nice, very nice.
And
So,
I'll put this into the club. I'll put it on Facebook. I'll
I
have a
just
special
wanted to
promo. Yeah.
say, so if you could please share with us as a new post,
Yes, will
you're
do.
very welcome to share your work, of course, just as anyone. Anytime. I always want you to ladies share and help each other, support each other, and boast and brag about your work. Yeah. Uh,
Yeah.
so please do. Absolutely. And
Wonderful.
so, Jen, last question, and you have 2 minutes because we have
Okay.
to keep it under 1 hour.
Yep.
Why do you love teaching English?
I have only 2 minutes for this? Okay. My value, I think the strongest value in my life is connection,
Mhm.
and I teach English in order to connect and help others connect. Realistically, heartfelt, authentic connections between people. And that's all language ever does. It just helps us connect to each other a little bit better.
You like my You're like my twin in this because I am exactly the same. I am exactly the same. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think that's why we are connected. That's why we attracted each other to
definitely.
yeah, to each other's work. So I'm very
Yeah.
happy that you shared a little bit from your method today and your life here in the Czech Republic. I wish you all the best, of course, in the near future and far future.
Thank you.
And we have, yes, we have a comment here for you as well. Thank you so much, Jen, for sharing with us. Absolutely. And I hope to see you soon as well in person. Yeah.
Yes, I hope to see you too in November. I'm gonna try to make it work. So,
That would be awesome if you could come and join us and you can tell us more, even more about it. I'm sure that the ladies will be interested. I'm getting more people signed up. It looks like a very nice
perfect.
group of at least 10 people. So it's going
Wonderful.
to be a very, very good session, I think. Yeah, I can't wait. Yeah. Ah,
So,
another comment here. Your
oh,
method.
thank you. Thank you. Just shoot me any questions you have on Facebook Messenger or find me through my
Exactly.
website. Happy
Yes,
to help.
ladies, please connect, network, talk more about it. It doesn't have to be just in the club. You have the messenger, private messages, phone calls, Zoom, all of that. Yes. So, yeah, connect further and learn more about this amazing, very organic, natural way of teaching that supports autonomy, our learners' autonomy, and that's how they learn the best, the fastest,
Really is.
and with most joy, right? With
It's
most joy.
all about joy.
All about
Exactly. Having
joy.
fun. Yes. Thank you, Nina, for this great opportunity. I love sharing my work with you.
Same. So I wish you all the joy in the world to you, the ladies in the club, and let's keep rocking and teaching with
Okay.
joy. All right?
Bye
Bye,
bye.
everyone. Bye bye. Bye.